What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of The Lion's Den. My name is Jack, and today we're going to be sitting down to talk about my first impressions about a brand new game that just kind of went into closed beta over the weekend, came out of nowhere for me. The game is called Sky Noon, and right out the gate, I gotta say, this may be one of the most unique and original FPS games in recent memory. I had no idea about this game. I only found it while randomly browsing YouTube over the weekend and managed to snag myself a beta code. And I gotta say, there is a lot of very interesting stuff going on here. And even this early on in the game's development, I'm very excited to see where the game goes from here. So, Sky Noon is best described as a first-person shooter with brawler-style mechanics similar to Smash Bros, where the goal was to not kill your enemy outright, but use the weapons and abilities and the map and positioning to knock enemies out. So, if you want to boil it down even simpler than that, Sky Noon is a game where anti-gravity cowboys use air guns to fusro their enemies into lower orbit. And I gotta say, that's really, really different. The best comparison I can make is for any old school Team Fortress 2 players out there, the old Smash Bros mod for Team Fortress 2 is very similar to what this game is trying to do. It's like someone saw that mod, was inspired by it, and decided to create an entire game based off it, refining mechanics to tailor towards this style of game. And so far, I think it's incredibly well done. The movement has to be the absolute cornerstone of how well this gameplay manages to flow, because while your movement on the ground is terribly slow, you can't really jump that high and it's just clunky, all characters at all times have access to a grappling hook, and as soon as you're airborne, there's very little gravity or drag, and you hang in the air for a long time. You can maintain velocity, and now you create an incredibly dynamic, complete three-dimensional playing space where you can go pretty much anywhere as long as you don't hit the kill plane. And it leads to a lot of very interesting gameplay where even if you get knocked out, you can have very clutch saves with abilities or your grapple hook, or you can take advantage of other things in your kit to try and revenge kill. What's interesting is that while usually when games claim to have brawler-style mechanics, it's normally not as easily defined as that. But I will say, one thing that is straight up about as Smash Brothers as you can get is that there's very legitimate edge guarding in Sky Noon, where if you knock somebody off the map, you can bet to hell that somebody is going to try and confirm that kill, because the way that the air guns work, they don't knock back hard enough to insta-kill in most cases. So you have to guard the edge, make sure your enemies can't recover, and confirm the elim. It's very interesting because while this can be kind of a pain in the ass if you're not familiar with the movement or how the gameplay mechanics work, you could just get boxed out and pretty much never be able to recover. But to edge guard properly, you have to be on the ground, and you're essentially exposing yourself to other enemies to come through and refrag you. So it's interesting. There's a lot of very kind of back and forth gameplay, and even though there's very few weapons, very few abilities, it has an incredible flow. I really like how hard the movement is to master. I love that kind of challenge, and seeing some of the people who were already really good in this beta, they mastered the movement and were able to just stomp out everybody else. It was quite a thing to witness. So, breaking down the gameplay a little bit further, there's only 4 weapons in the game as of during this beta test. There is the air revolver, which I think by far is probably the best gun in the game. It has very good pushback on hit, it's incredibly accurate, it's a 6-shot, fast reload, and if you land 2 shots on somebody consecutively, like the first one knocks them out, the second shot will pretty much be a guaranteed kill. So it makes it for a very effective edge guarding tool. I think overall it's definitely the best weapon in the game. It's the most consistent weapon in the game, and it's the one that it seems most people are favoring, because while it does require a lot of accuracy, because if you miss, you know, you're kind of screwed because of the delay between shots. But mastering it can lead to very easy, replicable kill scenarios with your edge guarding. So The other weapons, kind of going in descending order of my favorites. My next favorite weapon has got to be the air cannon. The air cannon, I think, is the most interesting weapon because it's an AoE projectile with heavy amounts of drop and it's not super fast. But if you hit somebody, it has by far the strongest knockback in the game and is one of the few weapons with the potential to immediately knock somebody out and get an elim without needing a follow-up shot. But what I like about this, and anybody who knows the channel has heard me speak about Team Fortress 2 enough times, I like projectiles because there's a certain skill involved with trying to lead your shots, and there's nothing more satisfying than air-shotting some cowboy zipping across the map at Mach 5 with one of these air cannon pellets because they just go, they're gone. So the air cannon is incredibly strong, but it's incredibly brutal too because you miss your shots, it has a long reload, and you need to be accurate or else you're just totally screwed. It's even less forgiving than the revolver. The next weapon that I would want to talk about is probably the shotgun. The shotgun is interesting because I think in the right scenario, in the right player's hands, it's probably in contention as the best gun because the potential to knock people out is so high because if you land the entire pellet burst out of the shotgun, it's a very hard thing to recover. It sends opponents flying with the most velocity out of any of the weapons. But the thing is, its range is pitiful. I mean, straight up, there is a cutoff range where you will do no damage, no knockback, nothing, and you have 2 shots and a very slow reload. So it's definitely risk reward, and while I'm totally okay with that, it's just not necessarily my playstyle preference, but it's definitely better than the fully automatic pistol, which I think is by far the worst gun in the game right now. It feels weak, it's cool in concept, and it's only good for one thing. The only thing that you should ever use the fully automatic pistol for is if there's an enemy already off the map, you can pretty much guaranteed deny them because of the rate of fire and the fact there's like no recoil. That's the only thing it's good for, is confirming kills. You won't ever get people into that situation by yourself. You need teammates to get someone off the map because the thing's just worthless. But if they do get off the map, they're screwed if someone has an automatic pistol. Overall, these 4 weapons I think show a lot of promise with the creativity the developers can take this game, and I'm really interested to see in future tests what the devs come up with to differentiate the gameplay, or maybe how things are going to be balanced after this first run. Alongside your weapons, you of course have a nice selection of abilities to choose from. Some of them I don't really like personally. One of them I think is blatantly overpowered, so we'll start there. The jetpack cowboy boots are by far the strongest ability in the game and are a total game changer because essentially it is what it sounds like. It's a jetpack, so you have a fuel tank and free directional control 360 degrees. That's incredibly powerful, and in the right hands can pretty much make you unkillable because if you properly conserve your fuel, it lasts long enough that you can recover from everything short of being team shot by 2 shotguns stuffed up your cheeks. And that's rare. So the jetpacks, in my opinion, are just too strong, and a lot of good players can easily abuse the freedom to basically never die. So hopefully that is something that they're looking at. I would say that's probably the only thing in the game that seems totally unbalanced in my opinion. I think that's just too much freedom, too much ease of use in a game where your goal is to try and bat people as far away as possible when they can just instantly fly back and say, no, you, and get right back into it. Moving down the list, the next ability is similar to the jet boots, but it's definitely a lot more fair. You essentially have a tossable teleporter. You throw it out, you hit your ability button again, and you teleport to that location. So same thing in a sense. You can use it to save yourself if you get knocked off. But the thing is, it has a very long cooldown between teleports. So in my opinion, totally fine. It's definitely balanced, but it's totally useless in comparison to the cowboy boots. And while the cowboy boots are still in their current configuration, there's no point in using the teleporter. The next ability going down the list, I'm honestly not too sure about it. I don't really understand what it does. I didn't play with it enough because you spawn with random abilities and weapons every time you die, and I was dying a lot because I'm bad. But what I understand is it's like a tossable mine, and like it's not the dynamite tanks, which we'll get to, but it's like you toss it out and it'll have a big AoE explosion after a short period of time. And I mean, that's cool, I guess. I like explosions. Explosions are cool, but I can't really speak on it simply because I didn't play with it enough to really understand what it does. The next ability is the, I guess we'll talk about the CO2 canisters, which are basically like your sticks of dynamite if you're going to be playing a game like Fistful of Frags or like a traditional Western, spaghetti Western multiplayer. And basically, you can hold your ability button to charge up to where it will detonate, and has a nice size AoE and pretty much behaves like an air cannon in the sense of how it moves around enemies. Very fun ability, but personally, with how strong the mobility abilities are right now, it just kind of gets overlooked because being able to save yourself is just way more important. The last ability is the battering ram, or I guess it's kind of like you just hold up like this cow skull and charge forward. So I guess it's like a shoulder charge, I guess is the best way to describe it. And this is probably my personal favorite ability in the game, just because if you hit somebody with the charge, they're done. They just get Spartan kicked into another universe. And that's really fun. It's kind of buggy and inconsistent with how it moves over terrain, but when you do hit somebody, it's pretty satisfying and very hilarious. And also, you can charge in the air, so just like the teleporter and the cowboy boots, you have a reliable means of saving yourself from certain death. The only thing is the charge range is pretty limited, so if you get knocked out very fast, you oftentimes won't have enough time to deploy your ram charge to be able to save yourself. And that's pretty much what we got right now as far as an arsenal in this beta test. Speaking about game modes and maps briefly, we had Team Deathmatch Free-For-All, and this was the first time they introduced an objective game mode in the form of kart. So we'll start there because I think explaining how the gameplay works explains TDM and Free-For-All enough, so don't really need to touch on it. Kart is interesting. I really like the concept of it being payload, but you have to use your air guns to push the kart to the enemy's base. That's a cool concept. Takes advantage of the sandbox of the game, I think, in a really interesting way. However, at least this map was very prone to teams just kind of landsliding. If one team got the advantage, it was pretty much over. And if multiple people shot the kart, it was impossible to stop. So while I think it's a very interesting take on an objective game mode in a brawler first-person shooter, which I guess we should just consider its genre, I think there's potential there. I'm curious to see what they do with balancing the map they already showed and what they could do with future maps or other objective-based game modes. I mean, all in all, what really impressed me was how solid of a sandbox this game has created right out the get-go. You have incredibly interesting movement, an interesting mechanic and, I guess, gimmick, and you have gameplay that is very, very satisfying. While I wasn't recording, I was grinding out some, just playing a little bit to get a little more familiar with the game, and I won a free-for-all, and I was playing insanely good. I wish I was recording, but of course you never are when you do your best. But I did really well in a free-for-all. I won it, and I was just hitting shots, maneuvering well, saving myself, taking advantage of everything. I hit this insane flick shot with the air cannon, and I was just feeling it. And it gave me vibes that I haven't felt in a long time from any game. It's short of like the first time I really started to get good at Soldier in Team Fortress 2 was kind of the feeling I was getting while I was playing Sky Noon. So I don't know much about the game. I don't know if it's going to be free to play or what's the plan. I do know that there are future betas coming up over the next few months, and they plan to release this year. But for a game that I literally knew nothing about before this weekend, I am incredibly surprised and incredibly impressed by what Sky Noon has brought to the table. And I think 100%, if you're looking for something different, you're looking for a completely new take on what a first-person shooter can be, this game should absolutely 100% be on your radar. You guys should check out their Discord channel as well as their website. during future beta phases, they're giving out codes on their Discord all the time. That's how I managed to get in, was I just lurked on their Discord channel and swiped the code. So I'll leave links to that in the description down below. I highly urge you guys to check it out. Maybe look up some gameplay because the current beta period is now closed at the time of recording and posting this. And let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Did you guys get a chance to play Sky Noon? Let me know what you thought. Other than that, guys, make sure you take a look at the Nerdsmerized Twitter, our personal Twitters down there in the description, as well as our Facebook page. Maybe check out our Patreon if you'd like to support what we do. Other than that, guys, my name is Jack. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.